There are objects so common, so ordinary, that their true power is hidden in plain sight. Salt is one of them. For centuries, kings paid armies with it, temples guarded it, and healers used it to chase away shadows that no medicine could touch. Salt does more than flavor food. It preserves life, it purifies what is unclean, and it protects against corruption seen and unseen. In the Shaolin tradition, salt is not only a mineral of the earth, but a mirror of the mind. Just as salt keeps food from decay, purity of thought keeps the spirit from rotting under fear, anger, and desire. This is a teaching not often spoken outside temple walls. And when salt touches water, it dissolves completely, teaching us the art of release, how to let go without resistance, how to surrender what is heavy and poisonous within. In this journey, you will discover how a simple act, as ordinary as pouring salt into water, can become a sacred ritual of transformation. You will learn why the toilet, often dismissed as dirty and lowly, is in fact the perfect symbol of release, and how this symbolism can help you break invisible chains that bind your life. We will explore lessons of discipline from the Shaolin path, the hidden power of ritual in shaping destiny, and the forgotten wisdom of emptiness that dissolves curses from their root. Stay with me until the end, because the final reflection may shift how you see every ritual, every habit, every moment of letting go. Welcome to Sacred Mind Academy. If these teachings speak to your heart, support our journey by subscribing, so together we continue walking the path of mastery and freedom. There is a simple truth: what is not released will eventually destroy from within. In the body, this truth is obvious. When waste is not expelled, sickness comes. Yet the same law rules the mind and the spirit. Thoughts unexpressed, grudges unhealed, fears hidden in silence, they become poison, slowly spreading through every part of life. The toilet, though often regarded with shame or avoidance, is in fact a powerful teacher. It shows us that nothing impure should be clung to. It accepts what is heavy, what is unclean, and carries it away without hesitation. Each time we use it, the lesson is before us. Though rarely do we recognize it, release is as necessary for the soul as it is for the body. In Shaolin teaching, clinging is the root of suffering. A monk who clings to anger, even in silence, carries a fire that burns his own chest. A disciple who clings to fear, even in secret, walks with chains that no one else can see. The toilet then becomes a symbol of courage, the courage to let go, to flush away not only the waste of the body, but the curses of the heart, bitterness, envy, and regrets too long carried. I remember once a student asked, "Master, how do I free myself from the weight I cannot forgive?" I told him, "Go and watch water flow, see how it carries dirt away without arguing, without keeping a trace of it." The toilet, in its humble way, offers the same lesson. It accepts everything, yet keeps nothing. This is the way of release, the way of freedom. To understand this is to see that letting go is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, an act of trust, that what departs was never meant to stay. There is a kind of chain that no one can see, yet it binds more tightly than iron. It is the chain of attachment. When the heart clings to fear, it trembles before shadows. When the mind clings to anger, it repeats old battles long after the war has ended. And when the soul clings to pain, it carries yesterday into every tomorrow. This is the curse of attachment. It turns the past into a prison and blinds us to the present. In ancient Shaolin practice, monks train not only the body but also the art of release. During meditation, thoughts rise and fall like waves. The discipline is not to chase them, not to fight them, but to let them drift by like clouds across a vast sky. The more one clings, the heavier the storm becomes. The more one releases, the clearer the sky grows. This training is not called detachment, but the discovery of freedom. Ritual can become a teacher in this path. Consider the act of placing salt into water, then watching it dissolve, carried away into the flow. It is a simple gesture, yet it holds a profound lesson. Salt does not resist the water, it does not hold to its shape. It yields, and in yielding, it transforms. To place salt in the toilet is to declare inwardly, I release what I can no longer carry. I trust that the greater flow will take it where it must go. This is not superstition, but a symbol of courage. It is the courage to unclench the hand that grips too tightly, the courage to trust the unseen. In that surrender, a higher force can move. What was once a curse dissolves, and what remains is space. Space for peace, for strength, for God to enter. A river that is never cleared becomes clogged with mud, and soon its waters cannot flow. The mind is much the same. Left unattended, it gathers restless noise, tangled emotions, and old voices repeating endlessly. With time these patterns harden, and what began as a single thought becomes destiny. To cleanse the mind is therefore not a luxury but a discipline, an act of preservation, as vital as the breath itself. Salt, when placed into water, does not fight or resist. It simply dissolves, leaving the water purified. In the same way, mindfulness dissolves the impurities of thought, by observing without judgment. By breathing with awareness, the hidden poisons of resentment, fear, and craving begin to lose their grip. They dissolve before they can shape who we become. In Shaolin tradition, the practice of cleansing is woven into each day. Breathing deeply into the lower belly, holding stillness in the spine, monks learn to quiet the storms of the mind. The discipline is not to banish thoughts, but to allow them to pass, like leaves carried downstream. Over time, the river clears, the surface grows calm, and in that calmness, clarity arises. This training is demanding, for the mind resists silence more fiercely than the body resists pain. Yet it is in the repetition, in the daily return to awareness, that mastery is built. To cleanse the mind is to choose freedom again and again, to refuse to let darkness settle. When one practices in this way, the inner world becomes spacious, decisions grow lighter, actions more precise, and the heart less troubled. Just as salt keeps decay away, discipline keeps corruption from entering the spirit. The result is not emptiness, but a mind refreshed, ready to meet life with strength and peace. Words are not as light as they seem. Once spoken, they carry weight, shaping the world around us and echoing within us long after the sound has faded. A harsh word can wound more deeply than a blade, and a careless phrase can plant seeds of bitterness that grow for years. In this way, negative speech becomes a curse, cast not only upon others, but also upon the one who speaks. The Shaolin path teaches restraint, not as suppression, but as conscious mastery. A monk is trained to pause before speaking, to measure whether words build or destroy, whether they heal or poison. Truthfulness is the foundation, yet truth is delivered with compassion, not with the fire of anger. For even truth, when spoken without care, can harm like a weapon. Actions too carry this same power. Each gesture, each choice leaves an imprint upon the self and upon the world. To act from resentment or greed is to scatter curses in silence. To act from clarity and discipline is to offer blessings without a word. Consider salt once more. It cleanses, it preserves, it purifies what it touches. When salt is cast into the toilet, it becomes a reminder: release the bitterness from the tongue, cleanse the poison from the heart. Just as waste is flushed away, so too can harsh words and harmful actions be released into the flow of what no longer serves. This practice requires vigilance, for the tongue moves quickly and the body follows its habits. But with awareness, restraint becomes strength, and silence becomes power. Then speech, when it comes, carries weight not of curse but of blessing, and action, when it moves, leaves behind harmony instead of scars. This is the discipline of purity in word and deed. A person may conquer armies, yet remain defeated by their own impulses. This is the hidden curse of weak willpower. It is not cast by others, but by the self. Each time one surrenders to distraction, to laziness, to the endless pull of craving. Without discipline, habits become chains, and soon the body and mind no longer serve the spirit, but instead bow to desire. The Shaolin path offers a different way. From the earliest days of training, monks are taught that mastery is not sudden victory, but steady repetition. Rising before dawn, striking the same posture 1,000 times, breathing through fatigue, when the body begs for rest. These are not punishments, but the forging of will. Each act of discipline is like tempering steel. The more it is tested, the stronger it becomes. Weak willpower whispers. Later, discipline replies. Now, weak willpower feeds on comfort. Discipline grows in discomfort. In this contrast lies the difference between a life ruled by impulse and a life guided by mastery. To break this curse is to strengthen intention. It begins with small choices, choosing stillness over distraction, choosing patience over anger, choosing practice over ease. Each choice is a stone laid on the path of freedom. Slowly the self is rebuilt, not as a servant of desire, but as its master. Salt dissolving in water can serve as a reminder of this. Just as salt loses its form, weak habits must dissolve under the strength of repeated intention. Only then can clarity arise. The true victory is not in conquering others, but in commanding the self. For when the will is steady, no curse has power, and no impulse can chain the spirit that has chosen discipline. A thought, if left only in the mind, is like a seed never placed in soil. It carries potential, yet it does not grow. Ritual is the act of planting that seed into the earth of the body, giving it shape, weight, and direction. Through ritual, intention moves from the invisible into the visible, from mere desire into action that transforms. In the Shaolin way, every bow, every breath, every movement of the hand is more than physical exercise. It is a ritual of alignment. When the body kneels, the mind remembers humility. When the palms press together, the heart remembers reverence. These simple gestures carry power, not because they impress the world, but because they bind thought and action into one. Even the smallest act can become a ritual if approached with awareness. Salt dissolving in water, for example, may seem ordinary, yet when performed with intention, it becomes a declaration. I release, I cleanse, I renew. The body moves, the mind follows, and the unseen spirit responds. In that unity, a shift occurs. What was once bound begins to loosen, and what was once stagnant begins to flow. Ancient teachers understood that the divine meets us not only in grand temples, but in these quiet moments of ritual. To kneel in meditation, to breathe in rhythm, to cast salt into water, each becomes a doorway. And when that doorway opens, energy moves, spirit awakens, and the hand of the unseen begins to shape the path ahead. The true power of ritual is not in the act itself, but in the union it creates. Mind and body become one, and in that oneness, transformation begins. Through repetition, the ordinary becomes sacred, and in that sacred space, change takes root. There is a silence that is not absence, but fullness. This is the essence of emptiness. It is not nothingness, but the space where all things can arise, and all things can pass. To fear emptiness is to misunderstand it, for emptiness is the natural rhythm of life itself. Consider the toilet. It empties what is no longer needed, making space for health to remain. Consider salt. It dissolves completely, giving itself to the water without resistance. Both are simple reminders of impermanence. The truth that nothing fixed can last, and nothing lasting can be fixed. In this flow, clinging is the true suffering. Shaolin masters have long taught that the ego thrives on grasping. It clings to titles, possessions, memories, and wounds. Yet the stronger the grip, the more painful the release when change arrives. To understand emptiness is to loosen that grip, to let go before life tears it away. It is not indifference, but acceptance. A calm recognition that everything borrowed will return, and everything held too tightly will slip. A disciple once asked, "Master, if all things dissolve, then what remains?" The master replied, "Space remains, and in space all things are possible." This is the teaching of emptiness. It does not erase life, it frees it. When curses seem to follow us, it is often because we cling to them, nursing old fears, repeating old stories. But emptiness has the power to dissolve them. By opening the hand, the burden falls. By trusting the flow, the river carries it away. In this state, we stop fighting life, and begin moving with it. emptiness is not loss. It is freedom. It is the clear sky after the storm, the silent strength in which all transformation begins. Discipline is often seen as a burden, a heavy weight upon the shoulders. Yet within its hardness lies a hidden gift. Every challenge, every restriction, every sacrifice carries a blessing, though it is not always seen in the beginning. The curse that appears as struggle is in truth the doorway to strength. Shaolin monks understand this well. Their path is not easy, nor is it meant to be. Hours of stillness test the restless mind, endless repetition hardens the body, and silence reveals the noise within. To the untrained eye, it looks like suffering, but to the monk, it is a teacher more valuable than comfort. For discipline strips away weakness and reveals the clarity hidden beneath. The one who avoids discomfort seeks ease but finds weakness. The one who embraces discipline meets hardship but discovers freedom. Pain becomes a messenger, showing where strength must grow. Obstacles become guides, pointing to where the mind still resists. In this way, what first seems like a curse becomes the very blessing that shapes mastery. Salt cast into the toilet is not a spell to change fate. It is a reminder that discipline itself is sacred. Just as salt preserves what would decay, discipline preserves the purity of mind and the strength of spirit. Each time we choose discipline over indulgence, we cast away weakness and prepare a place for resilience to grow. The blessing hidden in discipline is not immediate comfort, but lasting power. It teaches that freedom is not found in avoiding struggle, but in facing it with courage. What appears bitter at first becomes the taste of strength. What begins as burden ends as liberation. In this way, discipline itself becomes the quiet blessing that transforms a life. There are moments when life feels heavy, as if no prayer is heard, and no effort bears fruit. Yet often the blockage is not outside us, but within. A mind clouded by noise, a heart filled with bitterness, a spirit chained by desire. These leave little room for the divine to enter. Just as a cluttered room cannot receive new guests, a cluttered soul cannot welcome grace. When the mind is cleansed through mindfulness, when discipline shapes the spirit into stillness and strength, a new space opens. Into that space flows a movement not of our own making. Ancient teachers described it as the breath of heaven, the quiet hand of the unseen, the gentle current that guides without force. This is the movement of the divine, not commanded, but invited. Salt, when dissolved, disappears from sight, yet its presence transforms the water. In the same way, ritual acts like casting salt into the toilet are not the cause of divine power, but the symbol of readiness. They declare silently, I have emptied what is toxic. I have surrendered what is heavy. I am open. The act itself is simple, but its meaning profound, for it reflects the state of the inner vessel. God does not move because of salt. God moves when the heart has laid down its poisons, when anger has been released, when fear has been offered up, when pride has been dissolved. Then in the emptiness, something greater begins to flow, an energy that heals, restores and guides. The invitation is not in the gesture, but in the inner posture. When mind and spirit stand empty yet ready, grace enters like water into open hands. This is the quiet secret. Emptiness is never void, but the space where the divine makes its home. The symbols we explored, salt water, the toilet, are not about superstition, but about remembering what is most essential. They remind us that purification is an inner journey. Shaolin teachings, mindfulness, and the path of mastery all point to the same truth. The curses we fear are not outside of us, but within us, born of attachment, anger and neglect of discipline. The real miracle is not found in rituals alone, but in the spirit that performs them. A mind trained in awareness, a heart willing to release, a soul open to the divine. This is the cleansing that transforms life. Salt dissolves, water carries away, the body lets go. In the same way, may we learn to release what burdens us and create space for peace, strength and grace to flow. As you continue your own journey, Carry this lesson into each day. Let every small act become a reminder of purification, every breath an opportunity for renewal, and every choice a step toward self-mastery. In this practice, you will find that the blessings of life begin not from the outside, but from the purity you cultivate within. Thank you for walking this path with us. May your mind be clear, your heart light, and your soul open. If these teachings resonate with you, support our journey by liking this video and subscribing to Sacred Mind Academy, where we walk together in the pursuit of wisdom and inner freedom.